The city of Shanghai has always been a spectacular meeting point of trade, culture, and global influence. But in November 2025, the atmosphere inside the China International Import Expo, CIIE, was unlike anything attendees had experienced before. It wasn't just the towering LED screens, the futuristic installations, or the sleek exhibition halls that drew attention. It was a single face, one belonging to a young man whose global impact is now studied by branding experts, media analysts, and entertainment strategists across industries. That face was Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, the record-breaking global sensation, and increasingly, the fashion industry's most powerful cultural force. Calvin Klein's booth at CIIE 2025 was always expected to draw eyes. After all, the brand has maintained a legacy of minimalist seduction for decades. Yet no one fully anticipated the magnitude of attention, the level of crowd density, or the emotional intensity that radiated through the halls the moment Jungkook's latest campaign visuals lit up the massive screens. IT wasn't just brand interest. IT wasn't just fandom excitement. IT wasn't even simple celebrity fascination. IT was the Jungkook effect, a phenomenon that has reshaped how global brands operate in Asia, redefining the relationship between celebrity endorsement, consumer psychology, and cultural influence. Did I end this in-depth feature? We explore how Jungkook became the epicenter of CIIE 2025, why his Calvin Klein campaign became one of the most discussed marketing moments of the year, and how his presence continues to rewrite the rules for cross-border branding, global fashion culture, and digital influence. We begin where it all started, the moment the doors opened to CIIE. The first indicator that something unusual was happening came early in the morning. Staff members for several booths surrounding Calvin Klein noticed a shifting movement of people, not chaotic, but purposeful. Groups of visitors, from students to business representatives, were walking in one direction, clutching their expo maps as though following a treasure trail. The treasure, of course, was Jungkook. As attendees finally reached the Calvin Klein exhibition, they were greeted by towering LED walls displaying Jungkook's 2025 holiday campaign. The images were striking, sharp black and white contrasts, denim pressed against his skin, tattoos peeking through, and an unmistakable gaze that bridged elegance and raw intensity. Within minutes, the booth became one of the most photographed and shared locations at the expo. But the phenomenon didn't stop there. People weren't just admiring the visuals, they were staying, lingering, filming, returning again later in the day. Some fans even camped at the booth's perimeter, as if guarding a sacred site. Calvin Klein's own global marketing team observed the crowd patterns with stunned interest. Their Shanghai data report would later show that foot traffic increased by over 230% compared to last year, setting a new brand record. And all of it, was triggered by a single ambassador. To understand why Jungkook's presence created such impact, we must trace the path that brought him from a young trainee in Busan to one of the most influential pop culture icons of the century. When BTS first debuted, Jungkook was recognized as the golden magne, the youngest member with overwhelming talent in singing, dancing, and performance. But as the years passed, something unique happened. Jungkook didn't just grow into his role, he expanded beyond it, shaping a persona that transcended music. Brands began studying his behavior, marketers began tracking his influence, fashion houses began analyzing his aesthetics. What makes Jungkook different is simple yet rare. Authenticity mixed with global appeal. He is mysterious yet relatable, bold yet gentle, confident yet humble, a powerhouse of talent wrapped in unpretentious charm. Fashion loves this combination. And more importantly, consumers trust IT. In 2023, Jungkook became a global ambassador for Calvin Klein. The announcement caused an immediate spike in searches, a surge in sales, and a wave of global discussions. The campaign was one of the brand's most successful launches in the digital era, but 2025 was different. This was post-military Jungkook, stepping back into the public eye with renewed maturity, sharper visuals, and an aura that fans described as dangerously confident. His physique was sculpted, his style bolder, his gaze deeper. Everything about him told a story, one Calvin Klein captured perfectly, and China noticed. China has long been a market that responds strongly to cultural icons. But with Jungkook, The relationship goes far beyond typical celebrity admiration. His fans in China, known as CIIE, are among the most dedicated, organized, and passionate in the global fandom ecosystem. They conduct fundraising, create billboard projects, run streaming campaigns, and treat every Jungkook-related update as a nationwide event for them. Jungkook's appearance at CIIE wasn't just another brand campaign. IT was a celebration, a moment of collective pride, a cultural event. Social media platforms such as Weibo saw immediate spikes in hashtags related to Jungkook. Hashtag Jungkook CIIE 2025, hashtag Calvin Klein Jungkook, hashtag Jungkook returns within hours. Millions of posts circulated online, turning the campaign into a nationwide trending topic. Marketing analysts commented that Jungkook's face alone had created more online buzz than many corporate keynote speeches. IT wasn't just fans either. Business visitors, the ones attending CIIE for imports, logistics, technology, and trade partnerships, were equally captivated. Many approached Calvin Klein representatives with the same question: is Jungkook coming in person? Brands often choose ambassadors based on reach. Who has the biggest audience, the strongest digital footprint, the most attractive demographics? But Calvin Klein's partnership with Jungkook represents something deeper, a perfectly aligned aesthetic identity. Jungkook embodies the Calvin Klein ethos. Minimalism, edginess, raw, sensuality, unfiltered, confidence, modern independence. He doesn't just wear the brand, he becomes the brand. It's the reason the campaign visuals hit differently. The reason fans traveled across cities just to stand in front of his photos. The reason business analysts are calling the 2025 campaign one of CIIE's most strategically successful collaborations. The Jungkook effect is not accidental. IT is engineered through authenticity, consistency, and artistic clarity. And at CIIE, the effect reached its peak. The moment Jungkook's face appeared on the giant Calvin Klein screens at the China International Import Expo, CIIE 2025, something shifted in the air. Even people who weren't familiar with K-pop turned their heads. It wasn't just because the visuals were stunning. Calvin Klein always delivers an aesthetic punch, but because there was an undeniable magnetism that seemed to pull everyone closer. In marketing terms, analysts call it celebrity impact. But in the fan world, and increasingly in the corporate world, it has a name far more recognizable: the Jungkook effect. And in Shanghai that afternoon, the Jungkook effect was on full display. Crowds gathering without Jungkook physically being there. It was only an advertisement, just a digital screen, not even a live appearance. Yet the crowd behaved as if Jungkook himself had stepped onto the expo grounds. Some visitors stopped mid-walk, stunned by the visuals of Jungkook in Calvin Klein's winter collection. Others took out their phones to record, whispering things like, "Is that the Jungkook from BTS? Oh my god, I didn't expect to see him here." Even the ads look like a movie. The Calvin Klein booth recorded one of the highest traffic spikes of the entire event, according to unofficial staff reports circulating among fan communities in China. Employees at the booth were seen smiling because they knew exactly why the sudden influx was happening. People weren't just browsing the brand. They were looking for him.